Hello and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I'm Jeffrey Dobin with Duality Technologies, and today I have the pleasure of talking with Tom Marlow, Head of Data and Analytics at Farmers Insurance. Welcome, Tom. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Jeff. Good morning. Great to be here. Great to be talking with you today.
Yeah, so we're just going to jump right into things. And to kick us off, curious to learn, what are the main responsibilities of a person in a data strategy and transformation role who works with data and analytics? And have your responsibilities evolved over the last few years and more recently in 2023?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jeff. So over the past few years, I've been in this data strategy and transformation role. And it just recently changed. About a month ago, I pivoted to more of a divisional CDO role, as you mentioned, head of data and analytics for three of our primary business units, being marketing, distribution, and service ops. But if I rewind a couple of years ago when I first joined Farmers, it was really all about not just driving data technology, but driving a data-first culture. So making sure that data is at the forefront and we're getting the most out of it as we make our strategic investments, right? So today, or I'll say 2 years ago, the business teams were stellar at describing, here's the functions that I need in order to continue our path to be a world-class insurance company. But they weren't always great at articulating, hey, here's the data specific needs that go along with that. And our application development teams weren't always the best at asking those questions up front, getting those data requirements, understanding what are the measurements and outcomes that data can help drive along with those features and functions. And I think, especially for a 100-year-old company, this is, it's not uncommon, right? To have very kind of application development focused capabilities. Over the past 2 years, we've developed this muscle around data requirements, and it's not just what are the KPIs you want to measure, but also instrumenting the process that you just developed. So understanding the number of clicks and the performance associated with those new features, unexpected detours that your customer may have taken that you need to identify and measure, and then also the advanced analytics. So, I've run into a lot of business scenarios where, unfortunately, this kind of long-term view of data that can drive analytics, we just didn't capture that data. And so we can't get to that insight or drive that more meaningful, intelligent business process because we didn't capture it. And so to close that gap, when I first joined Farmers, we established three new teams. One was called engagement and adoption, so working with our business partners to bring them that view of data and tease out what they need. We developed a data innovation team, so to get everyone thinking about, hey, what's the art of the possible with data? And we launched a podcast to look at, hey, what's happening in the industry. And then also a data solution advisor team, which embedded, I call them these Navy SEALs of data within our major development teams, our major programs, made sure that data is represented within those development tasks and implementation.
Navy SEAL name just sounds cool, right? And I imagine they work on some fun projects as well.
They do, and it's been a fun journey embedding within those development teams, and a lot of ahas and kind of new practices and processes that are really yielding a lot of value.
So maybe we can go a little deeper into some of these things that you've mentioned, right? There are these various teams that are supporting different projects and investments. So can you talk about, let's say, the top, just because we're limited in time here, the top three investments and projects and any specific measurable goals? Just to go a little deeper, like you mentioned some KPIs before, but what are the measurable goals tied to those projects? And how will you know in this new role, and also for their teams, how will they know if they're ultimately successful or not?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned earlier, this pivot from what was a strategy and transformation role to now engaging with these three primary business units, so distribution, marketing, and service operations. When you think about those three business units, obviously obviously they're very customer focused. I'll say agent focused. And how do we go to market in order to drive profitable growth? So customer journeys and personalization are a big area that our business teams are diving into. What do we want that journey for our customer to look like? Similarly for agent experience. So we want to make sure that our agents have the tools and processes and ease in order to effectively sell and explain and work with our customers as they go through their life journeys. And then, of course, modernization, simplification of our IT stack, our data stack are all big areas. And, the goal is obviously profitable growth, but through meaningful engagement with our customers. So meeting them where they're at, understanding their needs, making sure that we understand their assets and what needs to be covered, being more proactive in just that. So if you have a new baby and if you buy a new RV, getting the sources of information that can help us see those things on the horizon and engage with you to make sure that you're covered for, in case the worst happens.
Something that's really interesting that you mentioned, I just want to go back and highlight it. So you talk about the customer journey and personalization. And to me, that sounds obvious. And with today's technology and all the data, obviously you want to personalize experiences, but you hit on the other side of the coin, which is empowering your agent or agents to have an experience and to enable them to deliver on better service and personalization. And I think that's a really key part that you brought up, because oftentimes we're just thinking about the end user, right? But this is how do you empower your team? And then it obviously ties into number 3, which you mentioned around modernization and simplification, right? Or across IT. So maybe we can go a little deeper here. So how do the various brands under the Farmers Insurance umbrella enable you and your agents and teams to create new products and to uniquely offer products and services to your customers that will result in not just a more positive experience, but like you said before, a more personalized experience?
Yeah. So obviously our agents are really at the forefront of working with our customers. And, that's really a value proposition that Farmers brings, is we have agents who are, really excited about the work that they do and the Farmers brand and connecting their customers with the products that they need, and enabling an agent who has access, to your point, to, a number of different brands within the Farmers umbrella that uniquely position products based on, you, Jeff, your risk, your background, the price that you're, willing and wanting to pay, the coverage that you need in order to cover, all of your assets, et cetera. That can be a very complex conversation between an agent and a customer. And we want to put the power in our agent's hands to quickly identify, for these given sets of attributes about Jeff, what is the best brand umbrella? What is the best level of coverage? Make that easy to get to, so that the conversation doesn't have to be a long-winded one around, well, let me check this product or this brand, et cetera. So creating those tools, those data-powered tools, to help an agent narrow down the offering for their customers is paramount.
It sounds like it totally impacts and makes for a better customer experience, especially rather than just having a generic robotic script that you share with everyone, which wouldn't be applicable, or offering things which are irrelevant, right? Specific things about an individual, and you're able to offer that person services or products that would be relevant specifically to me, like, right, you were mentioning. So maybe I just had a child or was married, and I'm more likely to, I don't know, if I have a kid, then I'm obviously going to be, hopefully less risky, right? Driving a little slower home from the hospital. And it sounds like you're picking up on these different things, certain things that are inferred and other things that are stated, to know how to better treat them. That's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's, implications to those life events that may not be obvious to everyone. So as your child grows up and maybe you by a trampoline. And, there's a level of liability that you have in owning that trampoline when the neighbor's kid comes over. You just want to make sure that you're covered appropriately. You got an umbrella policy to make sure that, again, if the worst happens, that you're not left in a bad spot.
Awesome. Well, Tom, thank you very much for joining us today. To those listening, please visit cdomagazine.tech for additional interviews. This conversation's been great. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks, Jeff.